If you didn't see this video, I would highly recommend watching it first. I was completely unaware that it was the 1-year anniversary of our Discord, and several members banded together to send over some really awesome Lego things I couldn't get anywhere else, including custom items and some pieces of Lego history. If you want to see the initial reaction, go watch that video first. The amount of legwork, creativity, and thoughtfulness that went into it was just staggering. I was completely lost for words. This is the follow-up to that video now that I have a better idea of what all was included and have everything built. Let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start with the 12-volt train. This is so cool. It's amazing. If I had handpicked a 12-volt train that I wanted, I think this would be it. I am kind of a fan of freight trains for whatever reason. So they really picked a winner with this. We've still got our guy. I need to unseal him from there so we can get him on his journey. But that's what I mean when I say, the creativity that went into all this. If you remember the old catalogs, there was always a minifigure saying, "Hey!" So that was really cool. We also have a buffer. If I'm not mistaken, this is by Filip from the server. Or Filip or Filip, I don't know. I only know English. And if you'll see inside there is a 1x1 round plate that's been cut and put in there. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But I didn't really have a space for a buffer in this build. But that's also how he made this custom signal. So great job with this, Filip. This looks awesome. So you've got the red and green there. And then even the isolation rail, I think, is custom. I'm not even 100% sure on that, but I remember them talking about that because if you'll notice here, it looks cut. But it works very well. I don't only have one piece that ends up isolated the way I've wired this, but I have very little room on the table and I couldn't really do it on the floor. So this is what we ended up with. We've got our controls here. So we've got the 12-volt transformer that they sent over. This controls the signal, and this is for the switch track. So if I move it forward, you should see it stops, and then now this does nothing because we have a red signal. And if we press the green, we have a green light, and it should go. Okay, so it's not going yet, but if I give it a little help, it's the button itself. It's none of the custom things that are causing issues. So I have been having an issue with. Let me set it back to straight. Okay. If you notice, it kind of jumped when it hit that switch track. A lot of times it causes a derailment, but I think I know what the problem is, or I have an idea to try. Something they thought about later, and it was fine because I actually have them on hand already, but we don't have the traction bands on the wheels. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on real quick. It seems to be when it goes over this little guy right here is when it derails, so I think that might help a little bit to get the rubber rings on there, and that'll give it a little more height, and maybe it won't dig in so much and cause derailments when it goes through there. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll come right back. Okay, so we have our traction bands installed. I purchased these on eBay. I got the link from Wrecker 1 Million. These aren't original, they're reproduction, I guess, but they seem to work great, and you get a bunch of them for a very low price. So that will definitely come in handy. I've added my driver inside of here. And we also have this guy. He's going for a ride. He asked very nicely and was allowed to ride on the motorcycle. And hopefully no one from OSHA will see that. The train itself was complete. The only part I had to add was a 6x10 plate for the station. It actually came with one of them was a 6x12. But if you look at the instructions, they're all supposed to be 6x10s. So that was very simple. That's why my old gray bin is out. And just to take another look at this signal, this is awesome. I love the white outline and how compact everything is and clean. This is some quality craftsmanship. So thanks again to Filip. Thanks for everyone who was involved with this whole venture. The other thing I added was I have another electric point switch. That's all I had was this part. I had two of them, and I actually can't find the other one right now. But I swapped it for the manual switch here. So I can switch them both at the same time. So they're just wired together here. And this, even this cable, yeah, that's 3D printed. So that is another Filip custom. So that is really cool. Let's go ahead and fire up the train again. And it definitely does run smoother, especially through that section there with the bands on it. I actually was running it at full speed earlier. This isn't quite full speed, but I'm just so nervous about it barreling around a table like this where it could just easily flip off. I haven't had it happen or even come close to it. But Lego trains, man, they whip around those tight corners, and it can really make you nervous. So yeah, we can go ahead and flip the switches, so that flips both of them at the same time. And now it'll go through the siding. And I can flip the signal to red, and it'll probably just overshoot it because I don't have any sections between them because I wanted it to stop near the end. But if I go to slow speed, it stops just fine. So very excited to have my first gray era Lego 12-volt train. They were actually very nervous that I had already ordered one, you know, as they had been working on this project for several months. But luckily I had just bought a bunch of track. I didn't even have my first motor, and I didn't have like an actual train. So this all worked out very well. I did end up giving the tracks a good wipe down. They weren't that bad. The contacts on the bottom of the motor definitely needed a little bit of cleaning, but they cleaned right up just fine. Since all this, I have ordered some parts from Caesar, or Cesar, however you say it. He's in Canada and actually has reproduction contacts that go on the bottom of the motor. So I'll cover all that later. I did actually purchase another motor so I can put that to use. So I'm very excited about this. I'm excited for, you know, one day being able to build a large layout on the floor and have some 12-volt and some 9-volt and just a little bit of everything. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But life has been a little bit crazy lately. So from here, I want to show some of the things that Gears sent over. So let's check that out. Okay, so first off, we have this awesome little micro scale build. This is a Maersk locomotive. It's called A Train of Thought by Gears and Brick. So that is the full name for his YouTube channel. And I thought that was very cool. This is the full brick badge. So he sent over, you know, this little guy here. So that's kind of the YouTube symbol. You've got the yellow part, which to me kind of looks like an RTX a little bit. I like it. And it had the 9-volt connectors on it. And he was saying I could use that as a lanyard if I wanted to just use the wire to make one. I could, but I already had this brick badge from when I went to Brick Fan Expo this year. And I had this custom chrome brick made while I was there. And I added some chrome grill tiles up top, and I already had the magnet mounted on there. And then since, you know, we got the 9-volt going on, I went ahead, I've got a broken, sadly, 9-volt micro motor and a lamp. So that's kind of the current version. I would almost like to do something that lights up or something, but that might be a bit too much. But I'll think about it in the future. There was lots of spare tiles, like different colors with different printing on it. But this is what I've kind of settled on for now. But that's something that can always change and I can always add to or play around with later. And the other two items are two very special RCXs. And I, you know, totally didn't realize in the video what I was holding. So this, if you look at that serial number, that is a very early production of an RCX. You know, within the first 5,000, presumably. Even the font, if you look at these numbers, is a little bit different than a lot of other RCXs you'll see. So I thought that was really cool. And of course, they're both signed by Stephen Canvin. And during the video, I was drawing a blank on who he was. I knew that name sounded familiar. And then I eventually remembered, I think that Gears had brought it up, that he was one of the folks that brought us the RCX. And then I realized a little bit later on that, of course, I knew who this guy was because I had this set growing up, the Ultimate Builder set. And if we hit play here...
Hi, I'm Stephen Kenman.
There he is.
The Lego Company.
So, yeah, I was absolutely aware of him. I'm really bad with names. So I'm eternally grateful to both Gears and to Steven for working with him and sending these over to him. You know, for a fair price. He didn't, you know, charge him a ton of money. So that's the first RCX. And then we have this one. And this is something I didn't notice at first either. So if we look at this serial number, that is much, much higher than the first one we showed. And take a good look at these contacts here, as well as the battery cover. It's hard to tell, but if you look on the left, it is dark bluish gray, and on the right is dark gray. So this is a very late model, and it's hard to tell because these colors look so good, but yeah, there is a difference in color. So that is just simply amazing. This is a very cool pair to have. So why don't we go ahead and try to test these. Okay, so we're all set up with our RCXs here, and we've got the BrickX Command Center software up and running. I'm just going to test it with the power jack. I have actually gone this far with it, so I know that they both... Oh. That is very strange. That worked the other day, but I used a different power supply. So we'll just try to, real quick. Let's see, we need to go to Tools, find Brick, USB RCX, yes. And I think it connected. Let's try to download firmware. Oh, let's see. There we go. And yeah, looks like it's downloading just fine. So this is actually the older one. I'm not sure why this one didn't want to power up with this power supply. Okay, so real quick, I went ahead and threw some Energizer batteries in there. Not sponsored. I don't know why I said Energizer. Okay, so that powers up just fine. So that's very strange. I'm not sure what's going on with the power supply not wanting to power up from that. But we weren't really sure from the beginning if these were going to work or not, or what condition they were in. And they're basically unused, I think. Supposedly they've never been turned on before. And the other one is so old that it could have had some issues that early units had. But at this point, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with them exactly. Maybe just put, display them or something. I definitely don't want this to get scratched off or anything. But yeah, these are just really cool. Let's go check on the other one while I was grabbing batteries. It was busy uploading the firmware. And it's still going. It's got a little ways to go. Maybe I'll play with these a little bit more. I'm not really sure, but it's just so cool to have a piece of history like that. Such an early one, and then this one. I have not seen this anywhere that it would have the dark bluish gray ports up here and the battery compartment. That's really crazy. So again, huge thanks to Gears and Bricks for orchestrating all that, and for Steven for sending them to him. I think the only thing I didn't mention is these are the hand-drawn blueprints for the Maersk locomotive, which was disassembled when I got it. He also sent me a scan of it, which was much easier to read since it wasn't rolled up. So I really appreciate that. He also said he did not use a straight edge in this drawing, which amazed me. At first, I wasn't sure if it was hand-drawn at all. And then I was like, well, I guess if you have a straight edge, you can do... And he was like, no, I didn't use one. So this is really amazing to see, because I'm not very artistic when it comes to drawing and things like that. So that really blew me away. Oh, did you hear that? Yeah, we've got our firmware loaded on there. So I'm not really going to do any more testing from here. It was really more about getting them to power up, I guess, more than anything. So thanks to everybody who watched this video. And again, thanks to all the Discord members that worked together to get this done over the course of many months. There were many, hiccups and crazy things that happened. Again, Gears box was delivered to a neighbor and I had to jump through all kinds of hoops. That never got me anywhere, but eventually the neighbor walked it over and left it at my front door. So I'm so thankful for that because this stuff was absolutely irreplaceable, especially the RCX units. So, now more than ever, I always say it, but yeah, come join us in Discord because we have an absolutely amazing community there. And there's always going to be talk about Lego trains or, older sets or some new sets. It's a little bit of everything. It's not really just trains or just, there's a little bit of everything. There's some GVC Technic and just some really great builders. And as always, thanks to the channel members for helping keep the lights on here and help keep things going. I'm looking forward to more train stuff in the future, hopefully. And now I have 12-volt trains to add to that. Well, that being said, we'll see you in the next one.